Hey guys, it's me, Mario, and Nurse, you gave me the wrong intro again. What the hell? I mean, honestly, like. Hey guys, sorry for the mishap on that intro. The nurse is busy playing games again. Why do I work with you again? Fine. You are pretty cute. Yeah, let's. Hey guys, it's me, the Gaming Dr. Mada, and welcome to another review. Sorry for the delays and everything. I was a little bit off schedule due to blackouts, sickness, and a little bit of demotivation on my side. But honestly speaking, I'll do a lot more better to improve on that. And I'm really sorry, but it will not happen again. You've got me for a long time and I'm not going to give up. So, what was I up to? Well, I recently finished a game that I talked about on one of my state of play things before. And this one was a bit tricky. I really wanted to love this game, but I don't think it, lived up to what I was hoping it would be. So, without further ado, let's talk about my next patient. Trek to Yomi. Anyway, you know how we always start off these things. Let's go off with a little bit of a history of this patient. According to my very reliable source, what? If it helped us through most of college, it can help me with a game review. So, as I was saying, the idea of this game came about when director Leonard Menchiari was playing around with black and white imagery on Unreal Engine. Devolver Digital then went to a Polish studio called Flying Wild Hog, which was one of his partners that was said to be developing a game set in the Edo Japanese period of time. They then linked the director with the studio, and one thing led to another and they gave birth to this game, Trek to Yomi. Devolver Digital agreed to publish this game, and the rest of it, as you say, is history. We were shown a trailer of it and I got wind of it when I was doing my first state of play video earlier on this year. Please go watch that. It was a samurai game with a cool black and white aesthetic, which looked like it would be quite good and had a lot of potential. Well, that's my brief history. There's not really much I can say about it since it's a new franchise. But anyway, let's move on to the presentation of this game. This is a story about Hiroki, a young samurai who was trained by his master Sanjuro to serve and protect his village. We start off the game with his training serving as the tutorial when suddenly his village is being attacked by bandits and his master, Sanjuro, has to go and help fight off the invaders. Hiroki is instructed to stay put. Sanjuro heads out, but his daughter Aiko, worried about her father's safety, pleads with Hiroki to help her father and ensure he is safe. You as a child go off and fight the bandits and help the village before meeting the leader of these fiends, Kaguro, who you injure before your master Sanjuro kills him. Sanjuro, severely injured, lays dying in your arms. With your master's dying breath, you promise to defend the village from any future invaders. Aiko, who is Hiroki's love, also makes him promise to protect her and that they will face life and its many worries together. Shift forward many years into the future, where Hiroki is the leader of the village samurai and Aiko is running the village. They receive a message that their neighboring village is under attack by a warlord. In fear that this dispute will flow over to their home, Hiroki and his men go to assist their allies, not knowing it's a trap. His men are killed and this was just a distraction to allow his own village to be attacked while his men were away. Hiroki runs back to find his village destroyed, his loved ones dead, taken to the land of Yomi, and soon he follows suit. From there your journey begins. It's the story of a man's promises, choices, and duty, and what he values. Does he stick with the promises he made to his master and his village? Does he choose love above all else as he travels Yomi in search for answers? Or does he abandon them all in search of his own new path? And that's the presentation. Did this game live up to the hype or was something sorely missing? Let's now move on to my signs and symptoms. Now, this game has had a lot of polarizing reviews. I've seen a few recently, but I wrote my review before I saw any of them, and I also have my own polarizing view on it. There are many people who think it's good, many people who think it's bad, but let's talk about what I got into. Now, here is where I'm going to break down the good and the bad bits of the game. Let us start with the good. Firstly, Hiroki himself. He is a very compelling character who is honorable and takes his responsibilities seriously. You can see and feel the conflict he is going through as you travel through the game, and he's honestly very well voice acted by Masayuki Kato. In fact, the overall voice acting in this game is great, as they show great emotion and seriousness with their lines to tell a deep and believable tale. The next thing are the visuals. The graphics in this game are amazing. The way the characters are animated during cutscenes, the environments that you pass through are truly inspired, and the whole field does have an Akira Kurosawa feel to them. It's a 3D slash 2.5D side-scrolling game, and the style suits the whole feel of the game. It's truly a visual piece of art. So far so good, huh? Well, not for long, sadly. Let us go into the gameplay loop. Starting with the main thing that you will be doing in this game, the combat. The combat in this game is sadly very down and lacking. You have a light and heavy combo, which can bring various moves if you press the analog stick in a different direction. The light combo is faster but weak, and the heavier combo is better for breaking blocks and disposing of foes faster. You also have a block button, which when timed right can help you parry your attacks and counter your enemies. A stamina bar is also present as well. However, the combat is hampered by the fact that it isn't that much fun. Once you get a combo that you're good with, there's no real reason to experiment much with the other new combos, except the one you get later on, which is actually a little game breaking to regular enemies. Otherwise, I was just using simple parries, pressing square or triangle depending on my enemy, and it worked for 90% of the baddies. You also have other weapons like kunai, arrows, and a powerful gun that can help you to fight your enemies. Sadly, I would forget to use them most times as they really didn't do much to make the combat more engaging. In fact, I only really needed them for the boss battle closer to the end and a few enemies that were riding on horseback. Another issue were the enemies. Yes, they were varied, but it would take a long time before new enemy types were introduced. Even though they still didn't warrant any special strategies that had me worried. They felt very easy to put down, and I died usually because I was being silly more than anything else. Maybe on harder difficulties it might be more challenging. There were also very few boss battles, and yeah, they did change the formula a little, but I found them very easy, most times killing them on my first attempt by spamming a combo here and there. I would die sometimes, but mostly if I became serious, I would defeat them with no real challenge. I guess they wanted a more authentic feel to the fighting, I guess, but in doing so, killed the fun of the combat. There are a few times where you use an alternate path that can help you use environmental traps to get rid of a group of enemies faster, but they don't do much to make things more interesting. Later on in the game, we're introduced to a few puzzles that are basically just get the correct characters in the correct order, which is very easy. They were very simple and didn't do much to change the formula besides being a late surprise mechanic added to the game. The game also has collectibles that help expand the lore of the game and of the culture and the beliefs of this region. But once I got the overall feel of the game, going off the beaten path to find a few items felt less fun since I was actually bored. One thing that I also have a minor gripe about was near the end of the game you're given 3 choices. Sadly, my choice at the end was made because I felt it was the noble thing to do, but not because I felt any other way about the other endings. I just wish the game did more to help me make my decision, but I'll get into that later on in the video. So yeah, you've heard basically a good chunk about most of the signs and symptoms I've had. Now, what is my diagnosis of this game? Let's get into that. Well, after all that, I don't have much to add. There's a good story here with excellent top-notch visuals and a great atmosphere with great voice acting. However, this is bogged down by repetitive, dull, and inspired gameplay with nothing much to change the gameplay loop or mix up the combat a bit. This is why my diagnosis is a patient who is kind of in denial about a very serious illness. What do I mean by this? Let me get into that. Simply that on the surface, this game seems to show that it has a lot to offer, that it's great, and a fulfilling experience that will blow your mind away. Sadly, underneath it all, it's shallow and dull with nothing besides the beauty and details to show it off. Such a shame because I really was looking forward to this game. I wouldn't recommend buying it at full price, but if you want something to kill time, then sure, go for it. Only if you get it at the discounted price mark. But now, let's move on to my recommendations. My recommendations are as usual, simple. Make the combat more dynamic and fun. More combinations and moves would have done this game a great deal of good and made the game more engaging. Plus, I wish we could have interacted with the other characters like your master, Aiko, and the citizens of the village a lot more in playable flashbacks, so that when we make our final choice or decision at the end of the game, we are more emotionally invested in it and the decision will hold more weight. This would have built a lot of character relationships and would be nice to feel like we are part of this beautiful world they created. I wish the puzzles also had a bit more complexity to them and allowed you to use your brain a lot more than they did in this one. Otherwise, yes, if they ever do come back to this series, I hope they take all this into account. So that's it, guys. That's my video. I'm honestly a little bit disappointed and I really was looking forward to this, but I hope I shed some light on my views. I know many people have said different things, but this is just my opinion. Thank you so much for watching as usual. Again, I apologize for the late videos. I know I'm always doing that, but it's not as easy as you think, and I'll still keep pushing and learning and doing better for you guys. Thank you for always subscribing and liking and giving your time to me. I really appreciate it. And I would like to just shout out my nephew Elias for asking me to make this video as well. He actually gave me the time frame since my last video, so thank you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for your time. But guys, till next time, on to the next patient.